Alright guys, we are up here in Hayward, Wisconsin today. Got Dax with. What's going on? First of all, we got some crazy weather happening.
Hurricane season, January 7th, Hayward, Wisconsin.
Pouring rain, super windy out. Last night there was a huge front that blew through.
Yep.
And today we are doing some walleye fishing. Now the crazy part about today is we don't have a single tip up with, no set lines, no iFish pros, nothing. Tip up fishing's been ingrained in Wisconsin forever.
Forever.
Most guys probably don't even jig up here when they come up here. It's literally throw out your 3 tip ups, sit in the truck, sit in the shack, and wait for the flags to go up. We're gonna put a twist on that today. We're gonna do a ton of running and gunning. It's been a pretty good bite up here, targeting a lot of these fish in a lot of different locations. So we're gonna go into a lot of how you cover a ton of water up here and be successful on a jig. Anything else?
We're gonna do a lot of holes, move fast, hopefully catch a few walleyes.
Stay tuned. One thing I gotta stress is one thing I can't stress. So one thing I wanna stress is just not stress how important it is to drill lots of holes.
Feels like a nice fish. Hopefully it's Willie Walleye. What we got going on here?
It is still raining out.
Rain and gale force winds. January something. And we are jigging walleyes, hopefully, up in Hayward.
Crazy, crazy January weather. Walleye?
Oh, look at there.
Nice.
Battling Castmaster with Fire Tiger Green.
That color has been on fire up here.
Yes, it is.
Pretty much everywhere I've been, they're eating that thing. Awesome.
It's a nice one, 17 incher.
Yeah.
Beautiful walleye. Yeah, I was just pounding the bottom and I lifted up on it and he was just hanging there. We had a humongous front come through last night. Ooh, popped right out. Beauty.
Awesome. Dax just caught that nice smallmouth, and we actually caught a couple of short walleyes too. This feels like another one, I believe, of the right kind. Bouncing around the hole. Oh yeah. Look at that one. About a 20-inch Hayward walleye right there. Another one on that same green Castmaster. That thing's been absolutely crushing them out here. Awesome fish right there. We are absolutely the only people out here. If there is someone else out here, I guarantee they got 3 tip-ups in. They're locking down on a spot and fishing there all day. One thing I always like to think about is how many times in the summer do you fish one spot for the entire day? It doesn't work, right? Well, it does not work in the winter either. You absolutely have to move. Always pays to move instead of just lock into one spot all day. And that's what we are doing. We are covering a ton of water today, searching out these active fish and having a blast.
Sit down. Feels like a walleye. And it is.
Beauty.
Look at that one.
Perfect eater, about 17 inches long.
Yeah. Got him again. Can't resist it. It's a dandy.
All right guys, so one of the most important pieces of equipment we have to get on these fish is the Humminbird. You know, I'm not using this for any kind of sonar. All I'm using this for is mapping. I want my waypoints on here, I want my Lake Master on here, and I want my auto chart on here. Of those 3, auto chart is probably the most important tool while out here ice fishing, running this deeper structure pattern for walleyes for me. You know, truly getting on these fish extremely efficiently starts in the open water season. When you're out here on the boat, you just can't cover enough water to truly get an idea of what that spot looks like from basically from a flash or from just drilling holes. You got to be out in a boat in the summer, kind of looking out these spots, you know, looking at these spots. I have the luxury of being out here every day, so I have a very intimate understanding of what these rock bars and weed flats look like. And here we have on the Humminbird a spot which I've auto charted. Now Lake Master does a phenomenal job. They definitely have the best maps on all the bodies of water that I fish, but there's always little things that you know, Lake Master, they miss on there, or little unique features to a piece of structure. So here we're on an extremely small, tiny little hump right here. This is all auto charted. You can see the top of it's like 26, 25 feet, breaks off real quick. These are the kind of spots that's got a lot of basin around it. You can see 50, 60 over here, 48, 55 over here. These are the kind of spots that walleyes are gonna run up to quite a bit in the middle of the day like this. You know, these fish are not holding on top of a rock bar all day long. What they're doing, they're sitting over basin, they're coming in and they're coming out. So you gotta check spots multiple times throughout the day, just like we do in the summer when we're slip bobber and trolling or jigging wrap fishing. So that's what we're doing there. Now, if I take my auto chart card out of the sonar, a very small hump here that we're on, you're about to see it. It is gone. You can no longer see the hump, even though our location has not changed. It shows we're 55 feet of water. So yeah, you could drop a waypoint on there, as I have. You know, we're actually sitting on a waypoint right here too, but without having auto chart, you don't fully get an idea of you know, what these spots look like. And I can't stress how much auto charting has given me advantage over a lot of other guys being out here on the ice. I have basically this entire lake auto charted, especially the unique pieces of structure that I want to fish, and it gives me a huge advantage as far as getting on a spot very quick, checking for fish real quick. If they're there, great, we catch them. If they're not, we're on to the next spot. All right, guys, we are hooked up on another one. You know, we just moved spots, and I was just saying to Dax, I was like, when they're not on this spot a whole lot, but when they are extremely aggressive. And as I was saying that, my rod just loads up. Look down at the flasher, there's a big red mark right where my jig was. Too much fun. Like we said, middle of the day now. We actually stopped and got some lunch because it is technically my day off. But, oh yeah, just another chunky Hayward walleye right there. Beauty, middle of the day. Just chomped that Castmaster. Awesome. That green color has been lighting it up. There's another one about 18, 19 inches. Super, super aggressive. We're gonna pop that guy off and let him go. We're at about 22, 23 feet of water right now on this little rock chunk. And hopefully there's a whole bunch more here. Rolling.
Fish on. Hooked up. Another Hayward walleye. I had to switch the whole pinky to talk that one into biting. Look at that. It's like 1:30 in Hayward, Wisconsin, and we're jigging up walleyes.
Pretty awesome. I got ones that are coming like right off the bottom. Is that normal for them? Oh wait, that's not a tube. I think so. Yeah, we're rolling. Thought they were tulipies. Definitely not tulipies. Oh, this is not a smallmouth. Another nice walleye there.
Wow.
About an 18-inch fish. Awesome. Just punched that Castmaster. I was actually dropping down, and that one started coming up off the bottom. And when they're doing that, they're probably gonna bite. He actually sank back down to the bottom. I kind of dropped back down to him, ripped it up two times, and he just came flying after it. Awesome fish right there. Middle of the day, nobody out here, Hayward, Wisconsin, catching a whole pile of those guys today. Walleye?
I believe so. Yes, it is. Nice one.
Beauty.
Tom and I have been fishing Hayward for probably combined 30 or 40 years. And we've always caught them well on tip-ups.
Yeah, you guys are probably thinking like, jig fishing, you know, what's the big deal if you're from Minnesota? Like, we do that all the time. Well, there's nobody that jigs here, do they?
No, not really.
I mean, not aggressive like this. You might see guys throw out a couple tip-ups, sit on a spot and camp on them all day, and you know, jig once in a while, but no one is exclusively jigging. And a lot of times, like right now, this is the absolute best way to catch them. You run around looking for those active fish versus just camping on a spot and you know, essentially waiting for those fish to bite. Well, it is now getting towards the evening hours. Unfortunately, we had to drop Daxa back off at home, but the awesome part about hitting this many spots in a day, so I'm on like spot 12 now. The awesome part about doing this is you get a good idea of where there's a lot of fish. Now, don't also lock into one spot all evening long. A lot of guys want to make that evening commitment to a spot, throw out all the stuff, all the tip ups, get all set up, and just lock into it. And the reality is, on a lot of this deep rock, a lot of this shallow rock even, really a lot of any of these spots where you have a lot of deep water in a lake and you're hoping for a big surge of fish at dark, is that they might not show up. We've all been there where we've set up on a spot in the evening we think is going to have a lot of fish and don't mark a single fish all night, but we're too committed to it by having all our lines out. So, you know, I've got 3-4 spots that I know have a lot of fish on it right now just from bouncing around so much throughout the day. And you know, if I start here and I fish for 10 minutes and don't mark one, I'm going to keep moving around. Now, likely what's going to happen is a lot of these spots, even if they just had a few on throughout the day, are really going to load up here in the evening hours. So we're only going to probably need to catch a couple more. Hopefully I can close out the show by myself, but that's basically what I like to do. I don't like to lock into a spot too much unless I'm for sure I know that there's going to be a lot of fish there at dark. So we're set up on one right now, and we'll see what happens. About 1 in the evening, garbage. Loaded this morning, nothing but smallmouth here now. We're moving. Not really committing tonight. Oh, there he is. Just smoked it. You know, I fished 4 or 5 spots now this evening. And yeah, I marked a few on a couple spots, but just not like it was during the day. I think a lot of these fish actually eat out in the basin. This might be smallmouth. Oh, it is a walleye. Look at that. Oh yeah. Look at that one. That is what we're out here for. That is a quality Hayward walleye right there. Just smoked that Castmaster. It's been a phenomenal day out here. That's kind of the one bite I was hoping for to close out on. Right now it is 100% a better jig bite than it is a tip-up bite, for sure. You know, you cover a ton of water this way, move around super fast like we're talking about, and this is what you can expect to catch. Key in on those good spots toward the evening hours and just pound on them after that. We're gonna let that guy go and get back to it. All right. Well, it is time for the bite recap. I put a lot of work into this shoot. It might not be the best high quality footage due to the weather and just kind of, you got to work a lot to catch walleyes here jigging, especially the numbers that we are. I mean, catching 20 or 30 today is not an easy task up here in Hayward, Wisconsin. But obviously can be done. It's obviously an absolute blast. The biggest piece of the puzzle is having a very intimate knowledge of these spots. Now, some of them are really good summer spots, some of them are good fall spots, some of them are good, you know, June spots. The depths vary. It might be 14 feet, might be 28 feet. You never know how deep these spots are going to be, but how many spots we are hitting, that's the biggest thing right there, you know. And if you're coming out here for the first time, expect to hit 5 times as many spots. I've been doing this every day for the last 2 weeks now, so I got it pretty refined, and I'm still moving 10, 12, 15 times a day to get on these fish. Now, the other thing that a lot of guys like to do, they like to write off a spot the first time they fish it and don't mark anything. Oh, walleyes don't use this. Not true. We do this all the time in the summer, whether we're jig fishing, trolling. These fish in these deep, clear, basin-oriented lakes where there's a lot of deep water. These fish are pulling up onto structure and leaving structure. I don't know if they're feeding when they're off a structure or they're feeding when they're on structure. I'm inclined to believe these fish feed off structure and come and sit back on structure. I'm not really sure if that's accurate or not, but that's what I believe both summer and winter. Having that auto chart, being able to see the little blips in the hump, you know, hump comes up, tops out at 23, 23, 23, 21, and then goes 23 and then back out to basin. That little blip is where we drill our holes. That's where we're focusing. That's kind of like the corral point, or you know, that's kind of, I like to call it kind of like that swing point where those fish will come into and relate around that. When they're on that spot, it's highly likely that they're right on that little crown or that little sweet spot. So having an intimate knowledge of these spots is absolutely crucial. Every single fish we caught today came on the exact same bait. I think Dax caught 1 fish on a pink one, but that color right there in the Rattlemaster, get that to focus there. In the Rattlemaster, that's a 1/8 ounce Acme Rattlemaster right there. I was fishing a Castmaster most of the day without a rattle in it, but Did not matter at all, rattle, no rattle. These fish are vapor trailing in. Smallmouth, like when I kept saying like, oh yeah, we're seeing smallmouth. Smallmouth typically do the same thing. Now some smallmouth will come up and boink, and you know, you catch them. But a lot of times what smallmouth will do, especially on a lot of this rock, they'll just rise up about a foot and go back down, or they'll just fill in that bottom under your jig. Most of the time smallmouth are not super aggressive in the winter, but it's always a bonus when you get to catch a few like this. What else is some good information we can talk about? My favorite part about shooting this clip was absolutely the fact that we did not use a tip up. Is a tip up a great way to use a fish? Yeah, I use a tip ups to catch a ton of walleyes, pike, everything all winter long. But you don't see guys fishing this way in Wisconsin. But of all the ice fishing videos I've shot so far, this is absolutely my favorite one. My home kind of body of water here, so hopefully you got some useful information out of it. Maybe change the way you walleye fish in the winter. And I'm not sure honestly where we're going to be next. I honestly have no idea at all, so hopefully we'll film something in the next couple days here. But until next time, thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you on the ice.